Well. Hello there. Happy Saturday. I was rushing to the chair this morning. Had to make sure my hair got did. I don't even know what's happening right now. This is like, I don't even know who's in control anymore, but I'm a slave to the coif. Anyway, I was running a little bit late. My two cats, who are adorable jerks, managed to find their way into a couple of Reese's peanut butter peanut butter cups. Luna, welcome. Good. I have at least a handful of people that just heard that. And I don't have an M plus rating, so that was a scientific term. That's a bit of a slip. Digging the hair. Thank you very much, Luna. Welcome. Happy Saturday. Always a pleasure to see you. HVK369, welcome from the Mix crew. What's up? Hello, happy to have you on board this wonderful Saturday morning. I'm definitely clipping that little slip. Yeah, so anyway, my kittens, who are raging dicks today, they got into 2 peanut butter cups, which is bad, especially because we have a dog. My dog's not crated, so I hope she didn't get into that too. And then they decided to go to town on a large bag of ketchup chips, and all this stuff is like stored high on in like a cubby in the kitchen, so it's never been a problem. Because Gizmo, who's the bigger, older cat, he doesn't get up there. He can't jump, right? Like it's way too much work for him. But Pippin, who is our tiny baby ginger kitten, is like a freaking ninja, and he is lightning quick. And so they team up now, these idiots. Like, so Pippin will get up into the cubby, knock shit down for Gizmo, and then they'll both like go to work on it. And I don't know what to do. Maybe our snacking days are over. Maybe that's the answer. I'm excited for today and clip. Indeed. Yeah, speaking of clips, or clips that aren't happening, this is just all kinds of, I don't know what's going to happen next, because I haven't had it this long and this like crazy for a while. Thank you. I don't mind it, but it's just very unplanned. So I'm sure everyone's feeling the, in the realm of essential services, I'm sure we all wish that our barbers and salons will open soon. And everything else, of course. I joke, but I'm not really joking. Yeah, so this is a little bit of a different episode coming up today for the session. I wanted to take it a little bit easy. Here in Canada, we have a long weekend, and so we got a 3-day. I'm super excited about it because work has been insane, but like I said, I've made a promise not to complain about work at this point. But because of the fact that I am working, then long weekends still have some kind of meaning for me. So I'm excited about that. And I just want to take it easy on the new stuff. As you guys know, it takes a lot of time to prepare and plan. And I wanted to get a little bit more into game prep. We've done a lot of work on the news lately. And of course, I've kept that up week to week. You can still see the news on shambazlgames.com on my site. But today we're getting more into the meat of game prep. And specifically, about 4 weeks ago, Wizards of the Coast released Lost Mine of Phandelver, which is the 5th edition starter campaign from the Dungeons & Dragons starter kit, which was launched, actually, fun fact, before the player's handbook was launched for 5e. So way back in, I think that was early 2015, the D&D starters kit was released, and that came with the standard rules, or the common rules, the basic rules guidelines, which is just that really trimmed down kind of breakdown that comes with the kit itself, and the prefab characters, as well as some maps and information around the lore of the Neverwinter, city of Neverwinter, the Neverwinter Wood, and the general campaign setting for Lost Mine of Phandelver. It's also been heralded as one of the best penned campaigns for 5e D&D because it's so comprehensive. It really is a great introduction for players and DMs. It's got everything you need to really get that game started. Now, as we were talking about in the news last week, so too does the Player's Handbook. However, as I mentioned, the Player's Handbook hadn't even been released yet. So, I digress. Wizards of the Coast in this great sweep of free content that they're producing. Thanks for popping by and saying hi, Luna. Good to see you. No worries, no worries. Have a wonderful Saturday and a great weekend. I hope the weather's shining on you today. I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you. Just in time to hear me rant about my cats. Um, so when Wizards in the sweep of free content that Wizards had released or has been releasing in the wake of COVID-19 and inspiring people to stay at home and play at home, they released The Lost Mine of Phandelver on both D&D Beyond and Roll20. So before that happened, I had always kind of planned on building Lost Mine of Phandelver in Roll20, building out the whole campaign and leveraging that as a community intro to D&D series. But I had planned on doing it all from scratch because I have the content. I have both a PDF version of Lost Mine of Phandelver and the hard tactile version of the box set. But I didn't have a Roll20 version, so I was actually going to go through the process of manually building that into, like, porting it over for Roll20. But now I don't have to because they made this available. And what I also learned is when you do purchase or grab some of that stuff that's free online and you start a game with it in Roll20, it actually stays with you. I wasn't sure about this, and I couldn't be until the license had expired, so it's no longer available for free, but I still have access to the full campaign because I purchased it or I grabbed it when it was free. So a little word to the wise, too. If you see things like that, I've also got a master list of all the playable campaign-based content that Wizards is releasing and has released. That's up to date. That shows the ones that are still available to you at shambazlegames.com. It's right on the front page, so go check that out, too. And make sure that you grab these things when they come up because they are time-limited, and they won't be up there forever. So anyway, that's a brief rundown. We're going to jump into it pretty early today. I'm probably going to do a bit of a shorter stream, so I want to get as much done as I can, and I'll be perfectly honest with you. It's sunny. It's beautiful outside. I think we're all getting more than a little bit of cabin fever, and as much as I love this, it could snow in northern Ontario tomorrow, so I need to make hay, so to speak, while the sun literally is shining. So that's a plan for today. Anyway, so with that, I'm going to we'll do a bit of a shorter intro segment than we usually do. I usually do the first half hour D&D chat talk. By all means, that said, please do check in with me on chat. If you haven't followed the channel or subscribed on the your channel of choice, please do so. Throw me a follow, throw me a sub, whether it's Mixer, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, wherever you're tuning in from this morning. I greatly appreciate your support, and I appreciate you spending your time with me this morning. So if you have any questions or anything like that that's D&D related or Roll20 related, DM related, anything at all, that's what we're here to do, is just really talk and shoot the shit, so to speak, about our game of choice or TTRPGs in general. So we are system agnostic, while my focus is typically on D&D 5e. But doesn't mean we can't learn about other great things together. So don't be afraid to say hello, to ask me your questions. And let's do the thing. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right into Roll20 D&D game prep right here on Shambazle Games this beautiful, beautiful Saturday morning. Let's see how it goes. Now, I need to just flip a couple of things over here. I need to turn some things off and turn some other things on. Okay. So today I'm going to go through my entire process as well. And as you can see here, we've got the Roll20 screen up. We have the Lost Mine of Phandelver module loaded. The only thing I'm not really looking at today is the actual process of going through Marketplace, buying the module, and loading it up. So take 20. Hey, kiddo, what do you know? Talk about the lucky feat. Hey, there you go. Successful roll. I'm honored that one of those lucky die may have been thrown in my direction today. Thank you very much. What's up, Take 20? Good to see you. Our friends at Take 20 D&D in the house. Always a pleasure. We're just talking a little bit about the Lost Mine of Phandelver module in Roll20. We're going to start building the campaign out today. So what we have, and I've never cracked the cover on this. I mean, in the Roll20 version, I've played Lost Mine of Phandelver many, many times. Un momento. Por favor. yeah, I've played through the campaign many times. I played through once as a player. I've run it. I think I'm on my third run of it as a DM. It's a great platform to bring new people into the sport of Dungeons and Dragons. And my goal with this is to flesh out the campaign fully in Roll20 and then leverage this as our Intro to D&D series, which is upcoming. And that will feature community members as well. So stay tuned. Follow me at Shambazla Games on Twitter, because I will post a notice there when I'm looking for players to submit for that streamed game. So yeah, and that will be on the Wednesdays off time with DM's Guild Showcase. So we'll have DM's Guild feature showcase with some great community members. We kicked off session 1 of that 2 weeks ago Wednesday. That's bi-weekly. The next session's coming up this Wednesday, and then in between we will have the Intro to D&D series too. So keep an eye on that. Yes, thank you to Take 20. Please feel free to hang out and chill. Listen, put it on in the background. That goes for anybody too. You know, if you want to toss on the stream in the background, jump in and out when you hear something that piques your interest, or if you just have any questions that you might like to bounce around, we can provide answers, sometimes even good ones. Am I doing the eyebrow thing? Do I just look like I'm being electrocuted? All right. So when you purchase a module or campaign like this in Roll20, at least, you can actually it comes up when you launch the game. So when you're creating a new game, in the menu where you set your initial settings, you have the option to select the module you want to build, and it auto-populates a lot of this stuff in for you. So there is some real benefit when you do make a purchase like this on the Roll20 marketplace. And as such, it will do things like this. So it'll give me all my screens here. Now, I've noticed that with this one, it seems more or less related to all the maps and screens. So let's take a quick look here. So these will be familiar if you've played through or if you own a copy of the Lost Mines of Phandelver game. Interestingly enough, though, they've actually shaded out. They've pre-baked some Fog of War here around most of the known areas, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, it'll pre-populate that for you. It'll get it all up and ready to go. And like I said, this is my first time through this. I've not even opened this module. They have a cool little background that you can use for random battle maps if you want to bring your own in, which is neat because I usually do. And there are some that we'll have to build for this that aren't included with the module. For example, at the very beginning, there's a moment where the player's path will lead them to the site of an ambush. And that ambush has a combat element to it, or an optional or potential combat element to it. And I would want to create that map. So the challenge there, it doesn't bother me, but it might trigger some people, is that it won't look exactly like this map because I'm not this artist. So any maps that I create that are supplementary to this experience are going to have my own kind of signature flair to it. So, and I don't really care about that, but the fact that it's not included might, if you're looking for it, you're like, hey, where's that ambush map? Then that's why you might not see it. Dr. Fairgood, good morning. Happy Saturday and welcome to the Speaking Common podcast this Saturday morning. How are you? How are you, my friend? Doing well? Doing well, I hope. I get up in the morning and I spend like at least 20 minutes trying to make my hair look like I just rolled out of bed, I think. That's a thing. Anyway, that comes later in a segment we call Things No One Asked About. Okay, so we have the title screen, and here we see the pre-baked. These are the pre-created characters by the looks of it. So what I like about this is the tokens are all here. Like, we can move them around, we can play with them. They're interactive. And this is great if you are starting with Roll20 and maybe you're getting a little bit more serious about building things in the platform. I find one of the best ways to learn is to take something that I like that's created and then deconstruct it, right? Or reverse engineer it to understand all the ins and outs, the nuts and bolts, and how things tick behind the scenes. So that is something that we're probably going to play around with a little bit today. Dr. Fairgood, actually, back is hurting me for some reason. Mowed the yard yesterday. Must have twisted something. But otherwise doing great. Got a game just under 2 hours. That's good, sir. Settle down, take it easy, rest that back up. Good thing you're a doctor, right? Get it? Because the name. Ooh-wee. All right. We're ripping these out all day long. So when we can take a look at these tokens and how they're assigned. So usually one of these circles will be used for hit points. One of them will be used for AC. So let's very simply let's double click. This is the updated human fighter. So again, this starters kit comes with pre-made characters for your players, which is great if you have folks who don't really know what they want to do, or they have an idea, I want to be this type of character, but you can skip some of the rigmarole, if you will, in the character creation and concepting, and just get somebody into the shoes of a character that's ready to go. Granted, part of the magic of Dungeons and Dragons, I think, is creating an avatar that best reflects what excites you. But this is a great option for a lot of people who just kind of want to get into it, or they might be overwhelmed by the little details in between. So it does have some really great benefits there. So when we click on the token that's assigned here, we can see that it represents a character, updated human fighter, blah, blah, blah. That's just the generic name for it. They're using bar 2, the blue bar for AC. They're using bar 1, the green circle for hit points. I always use the red bar for hit points because, like, red is universal for hit points. Am I right? I think that's usually the way it goes. The name actually comes from me being in the hospital a lot and playing scare pranks on all the staff. Oh, jeez. Good to know. Good to know the lore. Gotcha. I'm sure they appreciate the refreshing experience of being kept on their toes. Jokes aside, though, I do hope that that back situation turns around for you. I know that's not fun. It's kind of a crappy way to kick into a weekend. But D&D, on the other hand, is a great way to kick into the weekend. So hopefully they'll offset one another a little bit. And you'll be feeling better in no time. That is my hope for you today. They've also got the folk hero background in this as well. So when we look at some of the advanced options, we've got name, label, visible. This is interesting. So I did recently subscribe to Roll20 Plus, which gives me dynamic lighting. I haven't gotten too far into it, so that's a great way, like I said, for us to reverse engineer something that's already created in Roll20 and see how it all works and see what I might want to take into my home games as well, or anything that I build down the line. That's interesting. So this also says token emits light. All that stuff is off. It's bright light, but this gives me 360-degree sight. Emits light, I guess. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that works, actually. So let's play around. Standard bar style. Anyway, that gives us a little bit of a glance into what's behind the scenes on the token. So let's take a look at the character sheet for this. So this is an updated human fighter folk hero. And that's going to be, before getting into that, that's this guy right here. Okay. A little bit of background, some information about the benefits and what happens as they increase in level. That's really cool. It's nice to have that on hand, especially if you're just handing this over to a new player. And it's great insight, too, if you're looking at producing things for Roll20 Marketplace or supplements or modules that are intended to be marketed in a digital platform, to see how they kind of look in when they're purchased from an official supplier like Wizards of the Coast, let's say. One fact to Roll20: when choosing the dynamic lighting, make sure to choose either the old or new dynamic lighting in both characters and page settings. Nice, Fear. Good call out. And I haven't played with dynamic lighting at all, which kind of sucks because I paid for the ability to do so. So I have to get into that a little bit more. I find my pace with game prep is usually so rapid that it leaves me little time to do that. We can see that. So here is the updated human fighter, which is attributed to this character sheet. So if we change something like hit points, let's say this guy takes 2 damage, right? We can either use the cursors to drop it like that. And then when we come out of it, it updates the token, as we can see. We can also just adjust it. We can make it 8. If he takes another 2 hit points of damage, he's Now he's down to 8 to 12. We're slowly but surely killing our fighter. But what I really like about this is in the token itself, when you're in a combat map scenario, you can actually just click on it. Oh, you can click on it. You can click on the radial, and you can just say -2 if that's the amount of hit points he took, and it does the math for you, which is one of my favorite parts of all this. So it's fairly intuitive. That's one of the things that I really like. Let me take a quick moment here. I will say, though, we are going to go through a process where we're actually going to port something that we own, like a book that we own, into Lost Mine or into Roll20. Sorry, I can't multitask here. Into Roll20, because the caveat here is you will have to buy it in a new format, right? Like if you already own Lost Mine of Phandelver, the D&D Essential or D&D Starter Kit, you'll have to repurchase it in the platform of your choice. And that is, they're different stores, different systems. The analogy I used last week was that analogy of like buying something for PlayStation and expecting to also have it for Xbox. They're totally different revenue streams and retail partners. So keep that in mind when you are when you're opting to purchase or deciding like how much you want to invest in Roll20. You'll hear about a lot of folks who are they'll choose one flavor or the other, either Fantasy Grounds or Roll20, and they'll invest heavily in that. And that, just be conscious that down the line, that's going to make it really tricky to get away from that platform if you ever want to try a different flavor, which is especially why these free modules and content pieces from Wizards are beneficial. And there's still some available, too, for Little Adventures if you want to try and play around with that, too. And there's also the Adventures in Wildemount module, which is free indefinitely. From Matt Mercer's recently released campaign. So keep that in mind. So as we deconstruct this a little bit more, I want to take a look at the actual character sheet here and how they've set this up. So this is a level 1 fighter, obviously, that they've done there. It looks like stat array at a glance. In fact, yeah, 15, 14... 13, 12, 10, and 8. Yeah, they use stat array for this, which is good. It's a good starting point. Tool, land vehicles, and carpenter's tools. Right, very good. Excellent. He's only got 10 gold left. God, what did this guy do before embarking on his first adventure? +2 bonus to attack rolls for archery. This guy is an archery-focused fighter. Let's see what they did here with that. So he gets his proficiency, sure. Oh, the global attack modifier, they added it here. Okay, so how they handled... Interesting. So I'm usually inclined to, if there's a greater fighting style like archery, which gives you a +2 bonus to all attack rolls using ranged weapons, I'm inclined to bake that into the weapon itself. But what they've done here is actually set up a global modifier for it. And it just simply, you just click it on and off, I guess, if you're about to use it. So let's see what that does in chat. If I hit with the longbow or strike with the longbow, it gives me my +2. So it's 12 + 3 + 2 plus my proficiency, my dex. Interesting. It didn't seem to... Oh, yes, it did. Added proficiency. Yeah, added everything there. That confuses me. Why is it 17 + 2? Weird. Awesome. Yes, and welcome. Thank you very much, Take 20, for the shouts. Thanks to the Twitter crew as well. I hope, I don't know if comments from Twitter are coming through. Let me see here. Let me see how. What's going on here? Oops, I have to mute this because that'll get annoying real quick. Maybe I'll just try to keep this up there and we'll see how that goes. Yes, if you're just joining us, thank you very much. Throw me a follow if you haven't already for regular updates, daily D&D content, and things like this where we talk Dungeons and the Dragons all day. Yeah, I can see that. You're commenting through Twitter, right? Yeah, so yours are coming up. That's right. Okay, we're good. We're good. Welcome to my Twitter peeps watching through Twitter care of Periscope. Glad to have you, and I'm glad my chat is aggregating properly. That's the key, because I don't want to miss anyone. I'm here for the interaction. If you have any questions or thoughts, don't hesitate to ask. In the meantime, we'll continue with building the Lost Mines of Phandelver campaign in Roll20. So we're just kind of exploring the character sheet and how they've set this up. I really do like the use of global attack modifiers. If I want, I can just uncheck this. Now, because it's global, if I leave it checked and I hit with a greatsword, will it give me my archery fighting style bonus? And yes, it does. So that's good. So we want to make sure we uncheck this unless we're using a ranged weapon, which is a good way to make sure that it's always there, no matter what kind of weapons I equip or unequip this character with. All right, and these are the pre-baked characters we're going through. So when you have a module, then, of course, in the journal for the adventure, they will do things like outline all of the things you need to know here in the sidebar. So we'll go through that in a little bit more detail. Dr. Feargood, thank you so much for the subscription, my friend. Greatly appreciate that. You are, and of course, have always been a wonderful member of the Checkmate, so a fabulous part of this community, and greatly appreciate it. Dr. Fairgood, everybody, throw this this kind soul a follow. He's a wonderful credit to the community. I'm not just saying that for the sub. I've said it before, and I will continue to say it. The hair is awesome, by the way. Take 20. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's like I said, it's taken over. I used to be in command of this, and now I think and then it kind of became a partnership, and now I think I'm like a silent observer. I go where the hair leads. I'm gonna start to have to adjust like my camera angle. My camera angle. Thank you. Well, this will be part of the evolution too. If you tune in every Saturday, you'll see how this eventually grows more and more chaotic. This is the only chaotic neutral I allow in my game. Is on the top of my head. One of the things I'm going to change here is this. I hate this like large avatar on the bottom of my screen, so that's a personal thing. Speaking of triggers, so we're going to go down here. Oops, I'm going to get rid of this stuff. I don't really need any of that. I don't broadcast. I don't use Roll20 at all for any of the chat or anything like that. We'll just turn that off. I use Zoom for video and Discord for audio because they both do a much better job of handling their respective components and all that. So while this reloads, let it ride. I have no choice, really. My only other option is a number 7 trimmer. And I am not that brave, I'll tell you. And nobody wants to see that. Or maybe everybody wants to see that. Do I do like a sub challenge where I shave my head? I have to consult my wife before I commit to that. But it's not off the table, we'll say. Quite possible that might be a thing that happens. All right, let's get back to work here. Let's get back to the journal. I'm going to collapse all these just so we can explore them in due time. Like I said, we're also, as we're going through this, kind of deconstructing it, reverse engineering it, and seeing how professional modules are built for Roll20 and virtual tabletop platforms. So, do it, peer pressure. That's the language I speak, my friend. Peer pressure. Shambazzle Games bows to peer pressure. And how? All right, this says start here in all caps, which we know is cruise control for cool, and also just universal for pay attention to me. So let's take a look what we got here. Roll20 information. Thank you for purchasing. Thank you for giving it to me for free, I suppose. Battle map scale. This is interesting because I've always kind of struggled with the right resolution and scale for maps. They're great about their scaled using scaling information. That's good because some of the maps in Lost Mines of Fandelver, Lost Mine of Fandelver rather have a different grids to different grid size ratio. So 1 square equals 5 usually, but in some of these maps 1 square equals 10, and I'm assuming what they mean is that they've addressed that in the maps that are built in here. Hex maps, regional maps, or geographic maps always are usually hex. That including the Sword Coast map, which we saw. So they have 5-foot maps which are at half unit. That's what they've done. Yeah, okay, so that's Thunder Tree and Wave Echo Cave, which are much larger maps. Spoiler alert, by the way, we're going deep on Lost Mines of Fandelver, so you're going to see a lot of stuff in the campaign. You're going to see everything in the campaign. Just manage your intake accordingly. So I'm glad they added that game settings. So they're talking a little bit about how it's built. This is really great information for going back and reverse engineering it. I won't go too deep on that because we want to get to the prep, right? Module shortcuts. I guess they have custom macros that are included. NPC initiative. Right, so this is basically how you use the turn tracker. So the turn tracker in Roll20 will keep track of your initiative. We don't really need snarl. We're going to get rid of that. So what that means is it keeps track of your initiative for you. Here's how that works. So our human fighter that we were using earlier, if we bring up the character sheet once again for our updated human fighter. This is the folk hero. When we pull up our character sheet, just like you would in any other Dungeons & Dragons game, when you go to roll initiative, of course, the whole character sheet is interactive if you're not familiar with Roll20. When we click our token, let's say this was a battle map that we were on and we're kind of getting ready to go into the fight or take the fight to them, as it were. We click on our token, we hit initiative, and it automatically populates an initiative score with that. Nice roll, by the way. Human fighter folk hero. Well done. That will always happen for me on stream and never in the actual game. So anyway, and it helps populate those. So we can do that for all of these. So let's say if we want to add it to, what is this? Elf wizard we have too. So fighter rolls his initiative. Elf wizard rolls their initiative. And then we can just sort this by descending so that it brings our initiative top to bottom. Super easy. I love that. It's real simple. And then as we scroll through turns. As we scroll through turns, it'll actually roll it. No matter if there are 2 individuals on this initiative list or 20 individuals on this initiative list. So, I think that's pretty cool. It won't get me invited to parties. It might get me invited to D&D parties. Virid Spider, hi, hello, welcome. What's up with you, my friend? Welcome to the stream. Good to see you. Good to see you. Happy Saturday. Do you have any plans for this weekend? Tell me all the answers to these questions. My intention when somebody comes into chat is to say hello and welcome them, but I wonder if it just turns out to be like an interrogation. How's your day? What's the weather like? What do you have planned? How are you feeling today? What's your plan for Saturday, the weekend? Have you eaten yet? You got to eat. What about water? Make sure you have water. Stay hydrated, Virid Spider. It's a lot. Welcome to the stream. You don't have to answer those questions, but I would love it if you throw me a follow if you haven't done so already. It would be wonderful to have you on board officially. Lock it in. We're talking Lost Mine of Fandelver, building it in the Roll20 system for 5e D&D in a virtual tabletop setting. So, and you're just in time because we're about to cut through the gristle and get to the meat. They have some rollable tables here. Introduce a feature to allow GM to... Oh, interesting. Multi-sided option to quickly change the token image. That's interesting because there's a doppelganger in this game. Spoiler alert, we're building the campaign Lost Mines of Phandelver, so invariably there are going to be some spoilers about said campaign, just so you know. So it's interesting. There's a doppelganger in the game, and they've introduced a function where you can quickly change the token that's represented by the doppelganger. That's very cool. That's really interesting. I actually would not have thought about that until it happened, and then probably would have screwed up that reveal. So fun. Patch notes to the module. Of course, there are always patch notes and updates, just like any other digital product. All right, so playing Lost Mine of Phandelver in Roll20. This is a little bit of an intro on how to run the module. There's a bit about the... Okay, good. So we've got... Oh, you can link in between items in here. That's really interesting, too. These are all things that I didn't know about, like writing into Roll20. And it kind of makes me think, because the way I was approaching this is the way I would any published campaign, which is where I take the published materials, I dissect it, I disseminate it, and then I write my own notes to help drive that adventure. And that looks like this, actually. And I even had it prepared to do today. It doesn't mean we're not going to, but this definitely, the ability to just create all that in Roll20 changes things a little bit. I still think I might like to have it in a Word format. So what I do is basically, let me zoom in on this a little bit for you. There we go. Is I would start my notes like so, and I always have, so I build my stuff into sessions. So this would be Session 1, Episode 1. We call it a job, or let's call it just a job. It was just a job. It was supposed to be my last one. I was going to retire. Classic trope. Okay. And then usually if it wasn't the first session, I would have experience, which outlines the experience rewards from last game. And in my case, I use story experience. And I use combat experience. So let's say the story experience was successfully... Session 0, let's say nobody actually died during Session 0. That was really cool. Nicely done, guys. And combat experience, we say goblins on the road. Or what? Let's say there was an encounter where they killed goblins on the road and they defeated 2 goblins, and I would say goblins times 2. Let's say those are about 50 gold each, so that's 100 gold total. Gold experience, I mean. Experience gold, same thing in my game. Actually, I do know some GMs who do that. I digress. 100 experience total. Let's say the story experience was worth 50. Woo! Woo! All right. How I do this then is story experience is individual. So any benefit that my players are rewarded with or rewarded for that relates to the story is whole. So they each get 50 experience points. Combat experience I divide by half. That's how it's structured in the scaling of my level. And then I would go total. So let's say I have 4 players. It's 25 experience. So then they're going to get 75 experience each for that first session. For Session 0, which is pretty good. Now, this is not the experience for the session that we're in, which is Episode 1, let's say. This is the experience breakdown for last session, so I have it at the top. Then what I do is I create something called mandatory queues. Queues in this session. Tablab! Welcome, Tablab. Thank you very much for the follow. Say hello in chat. Don't be shy. But welcome to the Checkmates. You're part of an amazing community of wonderful individuals who just love Dungeons and Dragons, TTRPGs, and all that good stuff. Some at the round table. Thank you very much. What an amazing time we had. I had the distinct and honest pleasure of sharing the screen with some wonderful folks in the D&D community on How I Nerds channel last week, and it was really fantastic. Which reminded me, um, as I not that I ever falter, but just how really incredible this community is. So that's Mike from How I Nerd. They're How I Nerd on Twitch. You should check them out as well. And Luna, Gamer Mom Luna on Twitch, who hosts, or Gamer Mom Luna on Twitter, who hosts that show. It was my second time back, and we had Yachts from Yachts Twitch here on Twitch. Also on Twitter, we had Lionhead Gaming. We had Ian from Dragon Wings. We had Ted from Tim from Paradise RPG. Yeah, it was really incredible. Had such a great time. Yeah, and then we enjoyed it so much we stayed for an hour after the show and just chatted on Discord video more about everything, community, D&D. If you haven't seen the VOD, you should definitely check it out. Let me see if I can grab that actually. Yeah, I shared that out a little while ago. I'll post it again later. It was really good, and we covered some ground that I think a lot of people wanted to hear about when it comes to community and some things that not a lot of people talk about. The idea of streaming and how people got started, and some of the pitfalls, and some of the, let's say, the uncleared corners, I like to say, that not a lot of people talk about when they do these types of things. So it was fun for us to explore it. Yeah, and they're an amazing group too. Fireproof signing in. Thank you very much, Fireproof. Welcome, coming at us from the Mixer crew. Good to see you. Welcome. I'm loving this. This is I've recently made a return to streaming. I was saying on that show actually to Blab that that was this is kind of like a renaissance for me in streaming. I love it thoroughly, and I've never really been able to make the right time for it. So this time I took a look at it with those learns in mind, and hopefully we'll do it right this time around. I can stick to it because I think consistency is key there, right? Folks want to know, that you're going to be on at the same time or similar time for about the same time, and I'm trying to keep to that. But I'm loving it, and this community, there are bad apples in every bunch, but we seem to have found, especially with the How I Nerd family, our Take 20 D&D family. A lot of really great people, and when you find that tribe and you're like, hey, that's good. This is, this is where I belong. That's where I think the noise, and the nastiness that can be part of it tends to quiet down and give way to all the really great things that the wonderful people around you can bring. I find I'm starting to have more and more of these TED Talk moments too. Anyway, so that's always fun. Of course, if you have any questions about anything like that, I'm totally an open book. I don't hold my cards close to the chest. I don't keep secrets. I'm happy to share. So ask me anything in chat as we go along, whether it's D&D related or community building related or anything at all, and I'll be happy to chat with those as I casually play with my raging quaff. Okay. Wow, it's a day of tangents. So, like I was saying, they've got a great convention to build your notes into Roll20. I didn't know that you could link like this, which is actually a pretty cool. That's really cool. The problem I have with this is when I build, or the challenge I see with this is when I build my campaign and things like Word that are transferable, then I can take it to and from the table. If I build this campaign out, I can repurpose these notes. So I'm not really sure how that works in Roll20 just yet. So we're going to stick to the formula. So like I was saying, after the experience breakdown, I go into mandatory cues in this session. And what these are just a few things that I need to keep top of mind that I have to make sure happen or are addressed or have a good chance of coming up in this session. And the reason I do that is because when you're behind the screen and you're running a game and you've got 101 things going on, it can be easy to forget about little things that you needed to make sure happen. And these are not things that are railroady or things that I want to happen. They're usually things that the players have become engaged in that have to happen on a timeline. So Specifically, what I mean by that is, let's say if they had been asked to do something in a certain period of time, and somewhere in this session that timer is going to run out, then I might say like, deadline for ransom. Togar will come seeking his reward. So just something like that that lets me know, okay, yeah, that's right. At some point in this session, most likely their time is going to run out, and if they haven't gotten that reward for Togar in the time that he gave them or she gave them, I have to remind myself that Togar is going to come looking for them, right? Things like that. I might also say, let's say we have a character that is pretending to be someone else, and we might say like Teblab's disguise is running out. So that might tell me that Teblab in the last session was had used a disguise kit, and it's only going to last about an hour before the makeup and the prosthetics start to like fall and kind of melt. So I've got to remind Teblab or put in mechanics where like, you know, he might be deep behind enemy lines, so no, I'll be caught exactly. And so like, okay, Teblab, you know, as you're discussing this with Togar in his room with his cronies all looking on, and the ambient orange light from the candles flicker, casting ominous shadows on every wall, he stops mid-focus and leans into you and says, "Are you all right, mate? You got a little, what's that on your face?" And immediately, with the pang of fear, you realize that the time is ticking on the prosthetic that you produce, and blah, blah, blah. So that's how we go, and that's how I'll remember to remind Teblab that that's something that now he has to worry about and manage in the moment, and how I can torment them with these these various tools that are at my disposal. So things like that, mandatory cues in this session. It might be somebody has to speak to another NPC. It might be a component that somebody has to remember. Anyway, that's that. Then I always go into a session recap. So I'll say, you know, Gundren, Rockseeker, has gathered you here to blah, 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 blah. So I'll do a, that's a good thing to keep in mind. Indeed. Both on the note-taking side and whence to using a disguise. It's about immersion, right? There are components to these things. There are things that players have to keep in mind, too. So I'll do a quick recap of the session before or the intro, and then we'll jump into it. So then what I do is I'll break it out into scenes. So now that you've got an idea of how that works. So this is ... recap. Because I always like to start every session with a quick recap of what's happened, what's important that's happened, in the story so far, and specifically some highlights of what happened last session. Rebecca, yes, grab your coffee, do it up. I was behind the 8 ball this morning, so I didn't have time to wait for the kettle. It's terrible. I hate it. I hate it. I can't do without the caffeine. I can't do without it. Take 20 DnD. Oh, we're on Twitch. We're on Twitter. We're on Twitch. We're everywhere, baby. Take 20. Wear the hair. Yeah, this is good stuff. You know what? Take 20. Let's test something today that I set up, and I hope this works out. I don't know if this will work, but let's see. Take 20 D&D, a wonderful friend of the channel. Let's see if that does the thing. I don't know if it will. That'll whack. Hey, it did. There it is. Oh my God. But I okay. Do we see what happened there, gang? So my shout out command works, which is intended to give Take 20 D&D a shout out in chat and a link to their stream. But because I'm an idiot and like I said, I'm just getting back into this, it's not allowing links. Did it actually show the link in Twitch though? Okay, because on my chat aggregate, it like censored out the link. I'm like, that defeats the purpose. So it did work. It worked okay. Did it give you the link or did it censor it out? Here's another one that I did that I really like. And at this moment, gang, if you're so inclined, I would love for you to help me share the word about the stream. And I'm not sure if I remember correctly what the command was, but let's see if it's tweet DnD. No worky, no worries. No, I'll fix that now too. Or was it just tweet? See how easily distracted I am. Now we're actually playing with Streamlabs. So I was doing a thing and now I'm doing another thing. It's still a work in progress, okay? Hold on, I'll get that fixed up too. Take 20. Click on their name in chat and go check out Take 20, and I'll have that fixed for you next time. Take 20. Yes, I'm distracted back to work. I know. Wait. I gotta do a thing. I gotta do one thing. Oh no. Oh no. Where is the thing? God, I'm so rusty. It's really amazing. So rusty. I am so rusty. You know what kind of breaks my heart is that I can't have music anymore, because Twitch and various other platforms, but mostly Twitch, have really clamped down on it. Not only that, but then when you upload it to YouTube, of course, they get flagged as well. And I mean, that's it is what it is. I'm not complaining about that because I mean they're previously they didn't have or copyright holders didn't have much of an issue with your songs being played in the background on live stream, clearly, or maybe this was part of it. Maybe they did actually. I don't know. Point being, they've really started to kind of clamp down on that, which is fine. I just it is what it is. Yeah, so we can't have music. I'm actually in the process of building a library of copyright or royalty-free music, just to have something in the background too. Which is, I mean, like it's I would pay for it. I'm looking for a platform that I can just subscribe to for things like that. I also have an agreement with the composers that I use for my music, but recently they have also registered, so I'm just waiting to figure out like if I'm still okay to use that music. So otherwise, that's the music that I would feature in my streams. But I heard a lot of streamers kind of speaking to the fact that that this is kind of becoming more aggressive, we'll say, or they've been more aggressive in how they police that. So, of course, you want to make sure that you're always. Oh, Josh, thank you for the bit cheer. Thank you for the bits and welcome. Always a pleasure to see you as well. You're being quiet today. Are you lurking? Use Incomtech for music. Take 20. Yeah, I would always feel better knowing that I have an agreement that's paid for and covered, so I just don't have to worry about it, honestly, because I publish a lot of this stuff. I produce podcasts, produce video podcasts, I stream, I produce a ton of D&D content. So it's pretty high profile. Like I'm sorry, it's not saying it's pretty high profile, but I publish a lot of that out. So I want to make sure that those artists are covered and frankly that I don't have to worry about, that changing because it changes the content that I produce too, right? So yes. We had a couple of offline and follows too that I just want to shout out. Rotary Plains 486, thank you very much for the follow. Star Lord with the host last week, thank you very much. Ultra Venom, of course, our very own Kelly Eros from Take 20 D&D, speaking of the devil, who also just published his first DMs Guild work, which I have tremendous respect for. It's an amazing experience tracker, so check out at Kelly Eros on Twitter, and you can follow these fine folks at Take 20 DnD, and find me on Twitter too, because I tweeted that out if you want to take a look. And we'll have more of that coming from Kelly too. He sent me a version of it I'm going to take a look at, and we'll give that some love too. A lot of work goes into that, so they're royalty free with a shout out and such. Yeah, I will in Comtech. Gotcha. I would ask you to send the link, but I'm an idiot, and apparently I shut that down, so I'm going to have to fix that next time. I keep forgetting to do it. And Josh, of course, coming in with the hot bits. To Blab, thank you for the follow today. Dr. Feargood with the T1 subscribe. Thank you kindly. Kelly also, of course, throwing me some love on the YouTubes. Dark Delegate, thank you very much for the follow. And, of course, rounding out the stream last week was Manny Boy joining the Checkmates with a big bad follow. And you can too. So be sure to punch that follow button. That is the currency in which I operate, my friends. Back to work, as it were. So then what I do is I take the segments of the campaign, and then I start to block those out. Here's how I do that. I used to get way too granular with my notes. I would write. And then when I was at the table, I was looking, I was like, shit, this is no better than literally just having the book to thumb through, because I had probably as many, if not more, words on my notes than I had in the book that it was driving the campaign. So what I started to do is really trim that down and focus on descriptions that help me give like a really narrative kind of descriptive look and feel of the environment, so that my players can immerse themselves and decide how they're going to approach those types of circumstances. And then I just focused on really short, tight bullet points that cued me to the things I already know on reading through the campaign. So it requires you to read through and familiarize with the campaign, sure, but then the notes just kind of jog your memory a little bit. Here's how that works for me, and this is a system I've gotten down to over the last couple of years of doing this. So we'll look at the adventure backstory. So we know, I've read this before, so I understand the backstory around it. I won't go too far into that, but we know that it starts with a dwarven miner who's one of a handful of brothers named Gundren Rockseeker of the Rockseeker clan. And they have unearthed what they believe to be the legacy and legendary and fabled lost mine of Phandelver. And the Phandelver was an ancient pact of adventurers, a collaboration between elves and mankind, who had agreed to secure and leverage the immense power of this mine and use it for good. But of course, over time, it was raided. There were other interested parties of more ill repute, let's say, and it was warred over for a long time, centuries ago. So they believe that they had found this mine, and Gundren in the beginning is simply looking to enlist the help of the party to guide or guard a small caravan of mining tools to a town called Phandalin, which is the where the namesake, the Phandelver, the Pact of Phandelver was created, or the Phandelver group, or whatever. The Phandelver group sounds like a law firm. Yeah, and thank you for that heads up, Take 20 D&D. I will definitely be checking that out. Actually, I'm going to try and see if I can pop it up right now. Right, meow. License and registration, meow. Come on, meow. Don't make me wait. Any Super Troopers fans out there? Income Tech. Music and also graph paper. They've already won my heart. Nice. Thank you. I've got this site up here. I'll give that a shot. Take 20. Thank you very much. I will definitely look through it. Always on the lookout for good music sources, music libraries, ambiance. As we discussed last week, we've changed how ambiance is actually pronounced. It's now ambiance, and you have to do the hand gesture as well. So I'm always on the lookout for good music to create ambiance for my games. And of course, if they're protected royalty free and covered in that area, then that's even better. So thank you. The overview of Act 1. So that leads us here. We can link through these notes. I might get into doing this more in Roll20 because I really like this system. So Gundren Rockseeker, and there is some flavor text here too. So the flavor text, when you're looking at a published module, is always that little like sidebar that's either in green or yellow, like pale, like parchment color, which is where they say like read or paraphrase this to the players. In the city of Neverwinter, a dwarf named Gundren Rockseeker asked you to bring a wagon load of provisions to the rough and tumble settlement of Phandalin, a couple days' travel southeast of the city. Gundren was clearly excited and more than a little secretive about his reasons for the trip, saying only he and his brothers have found something big, and that he pay you 10 gold pieces each for escorting his supplies safely to Barthen's Provisions, a trading post in Phandalin. He then set out on a horse along with a warrior escort named Sildar Hallwinter, claiming he needed to arrive early to take care of business. You've spent the last few days following the high road south of Neverwinter, and you've recently veered east along the Triboard Trail. You've encountered no trouble so far, but this territory can be dangerous. Bandits and outlaws have been known to lurk along the trail. So what I would do is I would take this from the book if I didn't have all this here, and I would just lift it. And I would say, I might even take the section title. Goblin Arrows is the name of the section. So I might call this Goblin Arrows. And then the first thing under each section is the narrative. So I always bold that so it stands out to me. And this is how I start each section, when the characters and if the characters get there. And then I go into the bullet points. So these are the things that I need to remember. I'm going to move that off screen so I can see it, and you'll still be able to see everything, I believe. Won't you? Oh, we lost this. Here we go. Okay. So there are a couple of cues from the story. So asking the players to think about their character, ask players that these are just things about introducing the players into the game. So, but the important thing is, as I'm reading through, basically this is how I do it. I read through the text, and anything that sticks out to me, like, oh, I've got to remember that becomes a bullet point. So here's how that works. Any character can drive a wagon. Let me get rid of this for a second. So let's take a quick read through this. Any character can drive a wagon, obviously. Two oxen pull the wagon. This is kind of on a rail in this to make it easier for new players. The wagon's packed full of an assortment of mining supplies, things that are in. So I've got some things that are in the wagon, and 5 lanterns, small barrel of oil. Total of the value of the cargo is 100 gold pieces. And when you're ready, as this kind of happens, you introduce the goblin action or goblin ambush section. So when I'm noting this is how I do it. Okay. So we know cart, mining tools. I might want to call out anything that's important in there that I want to kind of flag. So the oil, cask of oil, 5 flasks worth, right? Oh, it's 50 flasks worth. 50 flasks worth. Relatively big barrel of oil. And then I can kind of remember or just narrate things. If they say, well, what else is there? Oh, crowbars, a couple of shovels. There's a sack of pitch. There are a couple of sacks of gravel in there, a few lanterns, things like that are a little less inconsequential. The 2 kegs of ale and mining tools. So 2 kegs of ale are important to mention. Approximately 100 GP worth in total. Right? So now I've taken that paragraph and I've given it 1 line on my sheet. And now when I'm in the moment for the game, it's easy for me to reference these things. And then the next step is goblin ambush when ready. So that's it. Now that's honestly probably like my first hour of gameplay right there. I've got about everything that I need to know. Now, up here I might say, I might say goblin ambush is a mandatory cue because it kicks off the rest of the game, right? So it's really important that goblin ambush happens. So I need to remember to make sure that is something that happens. Before we get into goblin ambush, though, there are a couple of things that cue into the next segment here. Take 20. Our Jim and Weird uses it for a little D&D game. Gotcha. Uploads of those can be checked out in the podcast format. Fantastic. Or YouTube. Good. They have a good selection of music for mood setting. Awesome. Yeah, and I've used the YouTube royalty-free library as well. That's kind of what I've been harvesting lately while I'm waiting to figure out what's happening with my composers, who are amazing and still say that like you can use their stuff. Frankly, here's a little bit behind the curtain. It's like copyright claims are automated on YouTube through a platform called Copy ID or Copyright ID, and rightly so. It basically scans snippets where this music is found in videos and automatically places a copyright claim. So it's all like bots, right? So they don't know. It's indiscriminate of any agreement that I might have with the composers or whatever. But so then I have to submit a dispute for that, and it sounds a lot more heavy handed than it is. It's simply like, hey, this is an automated approach. Hey, yes, I do have permission. I submit it, but then it has to live for 30 days. And the shitty thing is, in that 30 days, the copyright owner can monetize my videos just for making the claim. So that's kind of shitty because like I put a lot of work into my content, right? And I don't monetize my content. I'm not able to because you need 1,000 subscribers. But if you're not busy, you want to throw me a subscribe on YouTube so I can get to that point and maybe buy, I don't know, like lessons on how to word good or maybe a home barber kit, then I would appreciate that too. I don't want to take your money, but I will take Google's. In any case, so I have a process where I submit that dispute and I have like boilerplate copy and templates for all those things. And I just copy it in. It takes me about 15 minutes. It's not that big a deal. But then they have 30 days to respond. And I don't know what happens because I'm about to run to the end of that 30-day process. I've never gone through it before. But what I have gone through it before is thanking this wonderful community for subscriptions, much like Take 20 D&D. Thank you very much for the sub, my friend. Really greatly appreciate your support, and you know all your support before and leading up to this as well. You know our Canadian crew. Much love, much love. We're taking it worldwide, baby. Thank you so much for the sub, Take 20. Oh my god, you guys, I'm gonna cry. You're all amazing. I'm so lucky to have yeah people like you to do this with. That's awesome, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I'm just coming to the end of the 30-day period now, so I don't really know what's going to happen there. I assume that after 30 days, if they don't respond to the dispute, then it'll just fall away. But I'll let you know. I'll keep you updated because, like I said, my life is an open book. So anything that I learn, I'm happy to share with the community. Old Ninja 93, good to see you again. How are you? How's your weekend? I love these little emotes from the Mixer crew. I don't even know what that is. Is that like a little bot? I have to learn these emotes. Are awesome. That looks pretty cool. Thank you very much. Welcome on Saturday morning. Afternoon now where I am, actually. Don't forget to eat your breakfast. Welcome to the show. All right, so as we were saying, the Goblin ambush is a queue, is a story queue that we have to make sure is triggered here somewhere. And before we get into that, when we're in this first section, there are a couple of things that prelude into that. So coffee time, Take 20. I hear you, man. I need a coffee bad today. I skipped mine, but do your thing. The important thing is please do come back. Ready to get caffeinated. All right, now there is also another story text piece that actually leads this. So we don't have to add this. Sorry, I'm going to retract what I said there. This is kind of standalone. The next piece comes into Goblin Ambush. So we go into Goblin Ambush. We're going to just lift that flavor text. And that's normally I write these myself, but part of the benefit of doing previously published content is it takes some of that work out of it for you. So you can just lift it, put it right in there. And like I said, this is just my process. Doesn't mean it's the right process or there isn't another way to do it, but this works for me. Just gonna make sure this is all uniform. That's a me thing too. I have to make sure that all my stuff is that it's all uniform, man. It's got to look good. You've been on the Triborough Trail for about a half a day. As you come around a bend, you spot 2 dead horses sprawled about 50 feet ahead of you, blocking the path. Each has several black feathered arrows sticking out of it. The woods press close to the trail here with a steep embankment and dense thickets on either side. Like, that's an ambush if ever I saw one. But, new players, they haven't developed those refined instincts, you know what I'm saying? Matt, have I ever killed a player with this encounter? This one specifically, the Goblin Ambush in Lost Mines of Phandelver? I have not. It's a little baked in this campaign. It's fairly well tuned, but I have killed a player in the following encounter in Cragmaw Cavern, particularly with is it Glarg? That is it's awesome, Stare. It's awesome. Oh, Ma Deeps, welcome. Hey, what a coincidence. I'm DMing your first ever session on Wednesday and also running Lost Mines. Don't have the module on Roll20, though. I have loads of questions. Ma Deeps, by all means, please don't hesitate. Ask away. That's what I'm here for. And we are just kind of rolling through here this morning. So you'll see a lot of that stuff. It's a great campaign. You're going to enjoy it. Your players are going to love it, I'm sure. And just relax. So it's your first ever session. So we got nothing but love for new DMs and lots of stories to share, so we can help you with anything we can today. Then by all means, please do ask away. So yeah, Matt, just to get back to your question, that is, and a good note for you too, Ma Deeps. Just be careful when you're tuning this, because some of the encounters can be a little bit aggressive, and there's one particularly in Cragmaw that I'll touch on before we wrap up stream today, just so you know, where the characters fight a goblin boss, which is actually a bugbear named Clarg. It's Clarg. And the bugbear has some pretty cool tricks that are devastating to level 1 characters, which is likely where your characters will be when they find him. So, yeah, stick around. And if you are new to the stream, welcome. Glad to have you on board, of course. I'm Shambazzle Games, a.k.a. Brad. If we haven't met yet, please do throw me a follow on your platform of choice, wherever you're listening, watching in today. Greatly appreciate your support. And don't be a stranger. We do this every Saturday morning. We just talk D&D all day, or all morning anyway, into the afternoon. So just a heads up for those of you who are new to the stream, I am going to do a little bit of a shorter stream today because it's so sunny and beautiful today. And we had snow up until last week, right? 20. We got this here in Northern Canada. We and take 20s from real Canada. That's like real winter. They experience the real winter. So yeah, we've when you have snow up until last week and I have a sunny day like Saturday, I've got to unplug a little earlier than I would love to. But at Shambazzle Games on Twitter, lots of daily D&D content there. Anyway, enough plugs. So yeah, so as we're building this, I'm just going through the process that I take when I'm porting notes from a published campaign over for me to use in the game. So so I pulled the little flavor text out, and then I want to go back into the bullet points, like I said, so that I know what I need to keep in mind as this is progressing. So I see your question there, Modus. Give me 2 seconds. I'm going to come right back to it. So when we get into here, then we read through. We know there are 2 goblins hiding in the woods, one on each side of the road, yada, yada, yada. We go through, we kind of read this through, see what's important to us. The stealth checks, how they can do, how they can experience or approach the potential for this encounter. So I'm going to pause that for a quick sec. We'll come in and we'll treat it in the notes like we have previously. But first, a question from Maudeeps. I noticed there's a lot of wilderness travel, and as you stated, the upcoming encounter looks hard. I'm thinking of giving my ranger things to do and generating some random events like finding drag marks leading to a smuggler's cache, holding some healing pots as a bit of a helping hand for Cragmaw. Maudeeps, you are a natural. You're a natural. I think that's a really great play. Get outside and play, kiddo. Take 20. Absolutely. I intend to. Definitely drinks on the patio in the backyard today. Absolutely, Maudeeps. I think that's a great idea. I generally have a rule where up until level 5, I'm kind. I'm good guy DM. So I think that's anything you can do to kind of help your characters out, especially at level 1, is helpful, and you can bake it into an adventure, and you don't know what might come out of that. Something really great could come out of that. Plus, you give your ranger some play to kind of flex and use their skills, and they come out with a couple of healing pots as a result. I think that's brilliant, man. Do it for sure. Yeah, and I get the sense that you've already read through the material, right? Which is because you know what's coming in Kragmaw. So you're already well equipped there. I think mad love for that as oh, you're so nice. Yeah. Like I said, until level 5. I always say at level 5 the training wheels come off. So I'll help them out. I'll guide them a little bit more. I'll do things like you just mentioned, Mod Dupes. Yeah, absolutely do that. That sounds great. Little smuggler's cash, sure. Um, you can also lay some things into this upcoming encounter with the goblins, which shouldn't be terrible. This encounter with the goblins is it's really more to introduce players to the mechanics of combat in a fairly safe way. It's Cragmaw Cavern where shit gets real, so to speak. Struggling with prepping the second act as it gets very sandboxy. It does. I would say J-Man Weird is so mean right from the start. When you get to Act 2, so there are a couple of things I'll say to that, Ma Deeps. First of all, have you run a session 0? I'm guessing that you won't be between now. If not, you won't be between now and between now and Wednesday, most likely, right? You ran Wednesday, amazing. So Ma Deeps, you're already ahead. ROI philosophy, yes. Cragmaw almost TPK your party. When I first streamed this way back in, I think, like 2017 with a group of 3 of my friends and 3 people who just answered the call on Roll20. And I perma killed one of them in that last encounter in one shot, just insta death. Which is if you go into the negative hit points to a point that's more than your maximum hit points in one attack, which happened. I think he had like 12 hit points and I did 25 damage and he had like 2 hit points left before that. So insta killed him, permanently killed him, and it can happen very easily based on the mechanics that are at your disposal. Keep in mind, though, as a DM, it is always in your power to mitigate that however you choose. Like I said, I try to be an arbiter of the dice. I don't really get in the way of fate in that regard. I don't fudge rolls and things like that. But I do think, especially for new DMs, that there should be no judgment for something like that. If you overtune something, or if you're ever in a position as a DM where something shitty is about to happen and it will ruin the experience of your game, then please change that shit. And don't worry about what anyone else says or thinks of it. It doesn't matter. In that moment, the only people who matter are you and your players. It doesn't matter what anyone else thinks about fudging rolls or anything you've read or anything you've seen on stream. It just doesn't matter. Do what's in the best interest of your experience and the experience of your friends. I was lucky they tried to recruit Yemik, so he Leroy Jenkins his way in to save them. There you go. That's a great way to kind of like use what's at your disposal to slightly change the dynamics of the situation without going out of the way to like manipulate it as a dungeon master. I think that's the key. Find the difference between how you as a DM can use the situation to change the dynamic rather than saying, okay, you know what, I'm just going to change this. That doesn't happen, because that breaks the third wall and it ruins immersion a little bit. So be conscious of that too. Old Ninja 93, have you ever tried to leave a meta trail in lower modules to lead to a larger narrative around, say, level 10? I think that could get derailed easy, but would be a great fit if it works. Give me a little bit more detail on that, Ninja. Have you ever tried to leave a meta trail in lower modules? So like as you're like baking the story from a higher level module or another module into a lower module to connect them together? Is that what you mean? If so, then yes. I will often use like DM's Guild Adventure League modules to build up a small scenario to lead into whatever published campaign I might want to go into. And there's a great takeaway from that too that might help you, Mod Deeps, as well. You might play a session with a couple of combat encounters that maybe gets your players to level 2 before they even encounter any of this stuff. That's an option also. So yes, Old Ninja, yeah, absolutely. I think it's easy to prevent it from being derailed if you focus on the story beats, because then you can inlay them whenever they come up naturally, as opposed to like you have to follow a line. And I mean, the literal sense of railroading, if you build these things in a line then you are going to require your characters to travel that line to get from point A to point B. But if instead of thinking about the line, you just think of the points, so it's not point A, it's and B, it's point A, A1, A2, A3, A4, and then they eventually end up at AB, then you can leverage the content from the points anywhere in the story. It's when DMs start to think too much about the line from point A to point B that it literally creates a track, right? And that's when DMs feel like they have, or GMs feel like they have to, fight the instinct then to try and make characters do or play a certain way. Does that make any sense at all? They rolled a 21 persuasion. Yeah, that'll do it too. Yeah, we've had some really. And let me ask you, ROI, was that not epic enough to justify deviating from the mechanics for a moment? I bet you that you and your players just like flipped when that happened, right? The best moments in this game are not the ones that were made because you took the rules and the text to the letter. So, as we go through what's going to happen here in this goblin ambush, and Mod Deeps, hopefully that's helpful. Oh, sorry, like I was saying with your session 0, one of the things I always make sure to preface in session 0 is the only requirement I have is that the characters have the desire to go on an adventure together, right? They need to go out on an adventure and play together and accomplish goals and things like that. That kind of gets you around the whole if are they going to go get a little crazy, or somebody just gets bored mid campaign and says, you know what, I'm going to leave the group and I'm going to go like build my own tower and lock myself up in it. So that prevents some of the challenges that come with the sandboxiness of it, if you feel like they're going to go one way or the other. And here's the thing. When I hear sandbox, some people take that to mean sandbox is like an enclosure, because a sandbox technically is an enclosure that like you have to live in. And other people take sandbox to mean like you can build anything like you can in a sandbox. So effectively, it's like theme park versus sandbox. And when I say theme park, that's where things are a little bit more baked. You have to hit certain points. It's a little more locked in. But sandbox is a little bit more open, liberal, freewheeling. Characters can go in a number of different directions. Let me know which one that is for you, Ma Deeps, and then I can answer that a little bit better. So when you say it's sandboxy, is it because is there a concern that it's too open and you're not really sure how to prepare and at the same time not prepare for everything? Or is it because you feel like it's too locked in and you're not okay. I'm concerned they might TP and gain the info on Venom Fang or other encounters before they're ready. Gotcha. Okay. So you are thinking in the open environment sandbox kind of application of that. Okay, give me a quick second on that. Not that nice. If they get carved to lead them to the secret Red Brand hideout and roll badly on stealth, Carve may not survive, as the thugs will be pissed at the kid. Is he already? Yeah, absolutely. Keeping it real, right? And that creates great tension. First of all, I love the homework that you've done. That's my style as well. I'll read a campaign 3 times through before I ever build a note, before I ever write my first note, just to make sure that I understand it as well as I can. So, yeah. Keep to that. You already have really great instincts. Did you say this is your first session DMing? Because those are really good. Like, yeah, you're quite a bit ahead. That's good for you, man. Good for you. It's gonna be amazing. I'm excited for you. Have you played before? Okay, so the best thing I can offer you that's really helped me is just pause that and don't think too much about like crap, like how do I manage this? Think about how the world would manage this. So if they learned those things, then maybe they learn like the best thing you can do as a DM is kind of plant things that are naturally going to help them make good decisions, right? So they might if they find out about Venom Fang, then presumably there's also a way for them to find out like how dangerous a dragon is. And that might be ways for you to eke it in. Regardless, though, you might you might do everything you can organically, and they might still decide, you know what? No, let's go kill the dragon. Shit, like we're level 2 now. We're no longer level 1s. We're level 2, baby. It's dragon time. And that would be a terrible decision, but it's theirs, right? The other thing too is just because they come up on Venom Fang doesn't mean that A, they might go through with the fight, or B, that it has to be a TPK, right? They might have to get very creative in how they survive something like that. But you can describe like Venom Fang in this ominous kind of scary thing. And if that doesn't push them away, then I don't know, maybe you let them take a run at Venom Fang. But even at a low level, for them to get through Thunder Tree to Venom Fang's tower, they would still like they're gonna have a hard time with that, right? And by the time they get to that tower, by the time they get through Thunder Tree, hopefully they will recognize that they don't have a lot left, and it might not be a good idea. So, and even so, there is also the Cult of the Dragon in Thunder Tree. There is Rydoth, I think, or is that the Lord of the Rings one? There's the druid there too, right? Um, so there are ways that you can naturally and very reasonably interrupt that without killing your players if you need to. Is that helpful at all? Ask me more questions on that if I can clarify any of that or help out in any other way. So you have played before. Started playing in January. So even so, Ranger and Strahd and a Turtle Druid and Descent into Avernus. Okay, so yeah, you've got some good miles on you. That's good. That's a great path for you to get a good chunk of play under you before you take the screen. But yeah, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be great. Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Let us know how it goes. Definitely come back and let us know how the game goes. Tremendous. I'm amped for you. I love to hear about new people entering the hobby. I especially love to hear about new people taking up the mantle and running games, because there are not enough good GMs in the world, right? There are not enough GMs in the world in general. Everybody wants to play. Very few people want to run, and I love to run games. So I'm sure you will fall in love with it as well in equal strengths. I'm sorry, gang. My for the last couple, my alerts have been hidden. And that's my bad, though, because they were behind this Word document. But I'm still getting the love. Ma Deeps, thank you very much for the follow, making it official. Hopefully we've earned it from you today. So thanks very much for hanging out. Appreciate the follow. Welcome to the Checkmates. Thank you kindly. Coffee drop. Sweet. Thank you. This is why you involve your significant other in the decision-making process. She brought me a coffee. I didn't get to have my coffee today because we slept in, because we found a Switch and we got Animal Crossing, and that's a story for another time, but we will have it. Yeah, come back and tell us how it goes. We'll do. Good. We'll wait. I love to hear about it. And on that note too, I am doing this for a purpose. When I finish building Lost Mines of Phandelver and Roll20, we will be running intro to D&D sessions for our community players. They should be really quick, 4 or 5 session games that we can bring more people from the Twitter community specifically into Dungeons and Dragons. So I'm going to be hosting this. I'll make those announcements on Twitter at Shambazzle Games. Be sure to follow me there, and you'll know when these games go up. So you can shoot me a note if you're interested in something like that. We'll have a good time, I say. And now my alerts are on top where they should be. So I apologize for that, but it doesn't diminish the love I have for y'all. Thank you. Okay. Now we go to this. So as we're pulling those important items out to create these bullets, let's see here. We've got our flavor text. They will notice that the horses belong to Gundren and Sildar. So we'll say closer inspection. Horses are Gundren's. Oops. Just keep it really simple. The key here is to keep really short cues so that in the moment in a game when I'm running it, I can glance at it and know exactly what's happening and be reminded of important things that are also happening. Okay, I'll close this so you can see where I'm coming from here. Excuse me. Now the most important thing here is that there are 4 goblins hiding in the woods waiting to attack, right? So I'm going to just say 4 goblins hide in the woods. I'm going to say 2 on either side. And then I know that there is going to be a stealth check involved for them and a perception check involved for my players. So here's how I write that. Okay. First thing I would do, honestly, is pre-roll their stealth. So let's say the lowest stealth was a 14. Then that makes the perception check a 14. And here's how I write that. Very simple. It's whiz per. I use the first 4 first 4 letters of the skill. DC 14. So that gives me like one little kind of code, if you like, that tells me when a check is coming. When things like that need my attention in the notes, I bold them. Okay. So like 4 goblins. So I bold enemies and I bold any checks that are involved to discover. Whoops. To discover. There you go. Simple as that. And that gives me a snapshot and a couple of bullets of the entire landscape, let's say, at a glance. Take 20 D&D on the YouTubes, and now we're here. We're here as well. Good vibes indeed. Ubiquitous. That's awesome. Take 20 is like in the control tower now. Fantastic. When are you guys coming back on the air, 20? When are the boys getting around the table once again? All right. Sadly, I am going to start winding down because it's getting sunnier and sunnier, and I really need to get a piece of that. But I love y'all so much, and I'm having such a great time as I always do on Saturday. My hope is that you won't hold it against me, and you'll come back next Saturday and chat with me. And if you want to see what's going on before then, every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evening from 10 p.m. to 11 p.m., I just play video games, just kicking around, hanging out, chatting with folks. And then Wednesday, bi-weekly, including this Wednesday, coming May 20th, it's the second episode of our Dungeon Masters Guild feature showcase, where I play a Dungeon Masters Guild third-party module. It's called Scourge of the Nightingale, written by Jeff Stevens and JVC Parry. It's a wonderful adventure. And I have enlisted the help of 4 amazing community members, including Dads and Dragons, Chickenly Nerd, which is Nerdy Chicken, Nikki from nerdychicken.ca, Angela, who is Pleasant Doom, playing Glitter Bomb, and we have Badly Drawn Radio, which is Dustin's brand, great radio podcast, and they're all playing with us. They were all brought from the Twitter community as well, just as I mentioned, so I asked people who wanted to play. They answered. We chatted back and forth. They're an amazing group. We're having an awesome time, and I hope you check us out. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Shambazzle Games on these wonderful streaming platforms too. So you can see us there on Wednesday. In the meantime, because we do have a few folks hanging out today, which I'm so grateful for, and I've had a wonderful time with you, as I mentioned, let's do a little raid. I'm all about the community. I'm all about the engagement. I'm not going to lie. I've been most excited about getting to the point where I could raid a channel and offer something. So I'm going to take a quick look and see who amongst our friends are actually around today in the D&D sphere. Let's see. Let's see who could use a quick hand. I hope you stick around and show the community some love here as we spread it around, so to speak. I'm sure there's a better way to say that. In the meantime, if you do have any other questions, hang out, stay in chat, and find me on Twitter. I'm always happy to engage on there too and answer any questions you have. Don't hesitate to ask, of course. Ma Deeps, anyone else, if you have any other questions. In the meantime, I don't know if any of our folk are around at the moment. And I don't raid reruns. That's my only thing. Is that fair? I think like that makes sense, doesn't it? I'm going to. I'll keep watching for updates for Take 20 and reruns on the Twitch for sure. I'm also gonna. I don't have a problem with reruns, as I mentioned that I'm going to be running them as well, the edited clips. But I don't want to send like live viewers to a rerun. I want to share them with. That makes sense, right? I don't want to sound like I'm shitting on reruns because I'm definitely not. I need to do them myself. I don't want to like raid like a huge channel. I want to share the love, you know? But I don't see anyone. No one's chilling with me this morning. Chill in the category, I mean. Oh, is Puzz actually up? Okay, so I'm going to introduce you to a friend of mine here. His name is Puzz. He's an awesome dude. Looks like he's actually just chatting, hanging out, doing some home renovation. So let's queue up a raid for the Puzz and say hello. It would mean a lot to me. Now, bear with me because I've not done this in a long time. Yeah, and no, don't raid reruns, right? Because it's that's not the idea. That ain't the idea. Oh my god, I'm such a noob. I'm such a noob. Okay, here we go. So we're going to queue up a raid. I'd love you to stick around, click through, say hello to Puzz. He's an awesome guy. He's from Buffalo. So like practically Canada too. He's an honorary Canadian, and he's been a friend of mine on the Twitchiverse, one of the first people I met here. I know you're going to love him, and I know he will greatly appreciate the support. So say hi from the Chambazzle Games channel. Use my name, like throw it out, let him know where you're coming from. And when we do, I know that hopefully, as long as it doesn't, he is working with a drill right now. So, I mean, it's not, he's working on home improvement. So we don't want him to hurt himself too, but go ahead and jump on the raid. Hopefully I did that right. I think I did. Did I do it? Did I do it right, Pa? Shuffling off to Buffalo. Yeah, jump in and when we pop over, say hello to Puzz. He's a good dude. And until next time, checkmates, happy gaming, be good to one another, and I'll see you right here for another episode of Speaking Common on Chambazzle Games. Good night, all.